planning for retirement. I think I've taken you through what you should be expecting. If there are any very quick inquiries to make, you could make them. I am here with all the colleagues from Ministry of Public Service, wherever you are. We can respond to some few issues if they are there. I want to give a chance to the audience to just hear from the audience very quickly, and then we dive into the first presentation, the presentation of the day. Thank you so much. I request that those who have any quick issues that they want clarified, please raise them. My colleagues are online. They can help with the clarification. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. That was Simon Bwire. I'm called Victor Bua, the Commissioner for Compensation, who will also take you through the first session. I suggest we go into the session since we have allotted time for open discussion. And at this point, therefore, I want to request Adam Tusime, who is the Assistant Commissioner, who will be moderating this session, to take the floor and make us start the program.
Thank you, Victor and Simon. Good morning, members. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. We are hearing you. We muted you all.
Oh, thank you very much. How are you? Yeah, members, as earlier introduced, my name is Adam Tsime from Ministry of Public Service. I take the pleasure to thank all of you for responding to our call for this training. And first of all, I apologize for the timing. I know this is the time all of you are busy, but I'm impressed that so far we have 147 participants. This shows the importance you are attaching to this training. I welcome you once again. Members, I would also like to thank the organizers of this training for consciously selecting this particular topic, demystifying retirement, an overview. You are all aware that most of us are sure that we are going to retire, but we do not accept it. So, but now with this topic, demystifying basically means making a different subject easier and clearer to understand. So I'm certain that after the end of this training, this animal retirement is going to be demystified. So thank you, the organizers, for selecting this topic. Then I also wish to thank you, the organizers, for selecting the presenter, Mr. Bua Victor Leku, whom you participants and I entirely agree that he's the most suitable officer that can able handle this topic of demystifying retirement. Why am I saying so? Bua Victor Leku, our Commissioner Compensation, really has vast knowledge and accumulated experience in exit management. This can be evidenced by the various articles we usually see written by him in various journals, both here and internationally. So I'm very sure that he's going to ably handle this topic. And as Simon earlier said, Victor Bua is the trainer at the national level for preparing people for retirement. So I'm very certain that he's going to handle this topic to our satisfaction. Therefore, without treating to where mute please. I'm saying without reading to where angels cannot dare, I'm going to call upon Victor Bua, the Commissioner of Compensation, to make a presentation to our esteemed members. And this, we were supposed to have started at 9 o'clock, but now it's 6:21 past. But the presentation basically is going to take one hour. The presentation is going to take 1 hour.
Chair, we are not hearing you.
Chair, please unmute yourself so that we can hear you.
Hello.
Proceed,
Are you
sir.
getting me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm saying in the interest of time, we appoint a timekeeper for this session. And I was calling upon Wire to nominate a timekeeper. Yeah, James,
Chair,
I'm advised that you can do it better.
thank you, Chair.
Yes, and it's going to take 1 hour.
Thank you.
And then discussions will also take 1 hour. So in the interest of time, I call upon our today's presenter to take on the podium. Thank you. I wish you fruitful deliberations.
Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. I want to once again appreciate everybody who is online.
Okay.
We are very happy to see you join in big numbers. We are not going to make this more of a presentation, but a discussion forum, because I know all of you have experiences which you would like to share with us about the retirement journey. Simon talked to you about this curriculum. I want to tell you that this curriculum was built with support from various actors. We built this curriculum with the support of the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority, where I'm also a board member. We also use the experience and expertise of our colleagues in NSSF and other retirement benefit schemes. We also used our experience of interaction with the Uganda Police Force, the Army, because of their peculiar circumstances to build this curriculum. We have also used the experience of retired people at whatever rank who have not been able to successfully manage their retirement. We also got people who retired early and made some significant contributions to this country because of that decision to leave the service early. We also had individuals who retired up to age 60, and their contributions to the community, also to themselves, were used. So in essence, but also we benchmarked a number of other countries. I want to personally say I have attended several training programs, some facilitated by ILO and others by the World Bank, both in the country and outside. And we use the experiences of a similar program run by training institutions outside Uganda. We also built a curriculum at a time when we benchmarked the other countries. We benchmarked all the East African countries, but specifically, I want to appreciate the contribution made to this paper by the Ghana Institute of Public Administration, GIMBA. We benchmarked their institute, and from their learning, we were able to really draw some useful insights. We have also used a combination of research. Although not on a large scale, we have been able to rely on research to build this paper. And therefore, I want to confidently inform you that this paper has been built as a result of research. We have not covered, we are not going to cover all the contents in our training curriculum because it has quite a lot. We also discuss bookkeeping. We discuss financial management for non-financial managers and so on. A combination of things, but for now we chose a few topics that we thought we could cover within this short time. This is, like Simon said, an innovative approach which we adopted to try to offer this program at a very minimal cost. For now, for example, the cost of internet, I think, is the only cost. About our facilitation, we are employees of government. So we on payroll, so we are not drawing any allowances for this presentation. And for which reason, we think this type of approach is very appropriate during this moment of austerity. Now, just to begin with, we will be discussing our goal for this paper is how can we create emotional, moral, and psychological stability, even when we are confronted by retirement. Many of us look at retirement as approaching, and they will look at it as a beast. So how can we, through the assurance we have got from other people who have gone ahead of us, what confidence can we draw that it's not a journey of contamination? It's a journey of so many fortunes. How can we be assured that there is a fortune in retirement? Then we think this presentation will help you also towards your journey to a successful transition. Transition is a process. Some are within control, others are not. We want to look at retirement as one part of transition that we are not entirely in control of. So why must you worry about what you are not in control of? Why don't you submit? Therefore, in this paper, we want to, how can you submit? So the best option now that is available to us is the how. But in as far as whether retirement will come or not, we know it comes and it will come. Then how can you be happy? How can you retire but still live your life happily? Of course, we shall hear one of the most immediate is not the money, it's about the mindset, the readiness to go. That is the beginning point for this happy moment in retirement. We'll look at some of the statistics that we have. We'll look at what does retirement mean really from our experience and what many of our retired persons have told us, and implications of retirement and its perception. And basically, we'll end by what can we do? If we know retirement is unavoidable, what option do we have? So as a way of really starting this paper, we are saying retirement has nothing to do with age. Retirement, in our appreciation, is taking some decisions. At a time when you have your moment that we want to call active, it can be employment with the government, it can be in your farm. So the concept is taking important decisions during your active moment so that there is an objective that you have that you can actualize. The aim here is outside the formal engagement, whether in your place of your own place, your enterprise or government, how can you prepare so that when this active engagement is no more, you can still sustain yourself. So in money terms, it means you must have a goal, retirement goals, and take actions towards those goals. So some of you say, I want to go to a farm. That is already a decision. That's your goal. But there are things you must do to be able to go to that farm. So financially, it means, because retirement also comes at a cost. So in this planning journey, it means you must identify sources of income now. You must deal with your expenses, but you must develop an investment plan. Now we will talk about sustainable investment. There are a number of us, of course, that will come on day 3, but there are a number of us who are doing something. You are simply mobilizing resources, in my opinion. Some of us are doing poultry. Some of us are doing small-scale farming, whether large-scale. Some of us have our cows. Now, that is not what I'm talking about. That is not sustainable investment we are talking about. Some of you have cash in your account. That's not what we are talking about. We are talking about your ability to convert what you are doing now and use this as a resource mobilization strategy. If you have your poultry farm, well, for now you may call them your investment, but we think you are simply mobilizing resources for a big objective, that objective where you are attracting money even when you are not working. So that is our interest. But for all this to happen, you need some level of comfort. This comfort has to be not only financial, you need physical comfort. You don't need to always be in the hospital. You cannot enjoy what you have if you are physically constrained. Socially and emotional planning, regardless of how much you own, if you're emotional and socially you are incapacitated, you see doom. Life's purpose is only achieved through others, through people. And so your planning is impeded, can be impeded by a number of factors: the social, emotional, physical, moral, psychological, spiritual. All these can affect your retirement journey. So planning for retirement, therefore, requires that you take inventory. You must, each of you, and this requires personal reflection. You don't need anybody to advise you about who you are. You retreat, take moments off, and reflect on your finances. Reflect on your skills. Some of you think you can exit it because you are highly trained. Which of your skill is marketable? How is your health? What is the quality of your friendship? Do you have friends or you have a relationship only? Or you have associates? There are a number of us who have associates only. Our people we drink with, those may not be friends. They are associates. We need you to identify people who can support your journey. Your family, how do you start? All what you are doing now, whether you are building empires of what, they will come to nothingness if you don't have that relationship, if you have not built that family. Both in terms of your partner, your children, and also the bigger family. Your marital status, your interests, and your dreams. All these has to be studied. It's a personal desire, choice. But the moment you want to think about your retirement, it will never be effective if you don't reflect on each of these elements in more details, with the sincerity, with the due honesty. Because only when you discover yourself, it's only when you take a decision, say, I'm going to change this, that your retirement planning will be effective. There are people who retire the money but die immediately because these elements are missing. They don't have a good family. Most of their time was spent making money. The family has been lost. So in financial context, retirement planning, therefore, means we must now start allocating resources. The accumulation phase of life. I actually, at the beginning, for those of you logged in early, I saw the accumulation phase of life and the decumulation. Between age 45 to age 65, we want to call that moment for accumulation. 45 to 65. You are trying to mobilize assets. The assets can be financial, it can be material, it can be the health, it can be all these things we are talking, relationship, you are mobilizing within the first, within the 45 to 65 years. Then from 66, we begin the period of decumulation. It is also possible for the decumulation phase to start early for some people, where you are not into any meaningful production. Why we think this training is important is we want you to delay the decumulation phase. It must not start at age 60. At 60, you should still be mobilizing resources. You should be accumulating. So that is what we want to communicate in this program. But we can only plan financially if we start setting aside money, how small it may be. I don't think there are so many civil servants who have a lot of money. So if we can start a process of setting aside the little, of course, the little for some people is also little. But you see, with the retirement, we also want to give you the assurance that if your little cannot be saved now, in the future, there will even be no little to keep you moving. So retirement and saving is more about trying to make sure you are aware that what you have is little, but within the little, you also set up aside something little. That is really what we want to communicate. We always challenge our participants to reflect on some of these questions. You may do that later. Some of you have worked off your community for years, 30 years or plus. You have even built your home in Kampala. Even when you come from Moyo, 30 years plus, you are not in your community. Even where you have your community members residing in Kampala, you are not part of them. You are not, they are not your business at all. The people you have been in school with in primary, I will tell you in the course of my presentation that some of the friends, if you are lucky, you still maintain your relations with the people with whom you had fun in primary. They are the most important people. Not those at the university, because you got somebody from Kapchora when you were at the university. Probably when you leave and go back to community, you may need to interact more with the person who was with you in primary. So how do you get back to your community? So for now, if you ask yourself, how many people know you and accept you, that you did not simply abandon them? Of course, the people took different journeys in life. Some did not, unfortunately, reach where you have reached. But the question is this all about the relations that you want to build, people who are at your level? I will tell you in the course of my paper that for me, I've retained my relationship right from primary. And each time I went home, I enter a community that accepts, and I feel even without money, I could survive in that community. The other one is you have probably raised your family standard to a certain level. Are you sure this can be sustained? Are you sure even when you are not able to reach home with Kavera, you can be accepted? The other is now the most risky one. Because we are too much committed and we think we are so busy that we don't have time, we start panicking, we have a lot of money, yes, some of us. You also get gratuity and pension, and you think now this is the time you can do something. We will also tell you what our experience is so far. We have not found many people who are successful after starting their business after retirement. The other thing is life has to be lived regardless of whether you live this life with for purpose of generating money. So what is your goal after retirement? And lastly, what is the health of your relationship in the family, with your children, with your partner? If you have some few years remaining, is there anything you can do now before it is late? Because the family will accept you unconditionally. Some of you, if you just want to know the value of family, go to Cancer Institute. There are people who will be our friends. You can't recognize them now, but a few of us who are faint-hearted may not even touch them. The family is with them. The family helps them every 1 minute. So the value of a family is immeasurable. In terms of some of the information we have gathered, both from NSSF and the Public Service Pension Scheme, our experience is that regardless of the amount, most people who got lump sum benefits lost that money in less than 3 years. Money does not belong to you. Money belongs to government. You may have your own idea and graduate the idea, and that is what would be yours. So if your future is kept in money, colleagues, I want to tell you, you may not be wise enough. Out of 1 million, just remove 1,000. It is now easy to spend. It is not a whole now. And that has been a bigger problem. Because all of you know, NSF is not a pension scheme. We have apparently 3 pension schemes in this country. We have the Public Service Pension Scheme. We have the Parliamentary Pension Scheme for those who will serve for at least 10 years, both the elected and the appointed officers. And we have the Bank of Uganda Pension Scheme. The rest are Provident Fund. And most of them operate what we call the money purchase scheme. What you put in is what you get. A DC, a defined contribution pension plan. And you part away immediately. You meet the statutory requirement not to continue contributing. And that is the end of the relationship. That's why through this curriculum, Simon told you, we are trying to maintain a relationship. Relationship before retirement, relationship after retirement. Employees who have talked about their retirement, we have followed the people who have left early. We found those who are somehow happy in retirement and those who have exited early, not those who have left because the law requires them to leave. Probably because some of these people retire when they are ready, mentally, financially, psychologically, and physically. They are ready to leave. And many of them who want to leave, when they come here, apart from those who leave to join politics, oh, they are restless. They are able to move from one office to another. They say, how can I go with my letter today? Because they are ready. Something is burning in their hearts. And that is the journey we want to pursue if possible. That you go when you are ready, mentally, financially, psychologically, physically. Because something is waiting for you. Because you have been doing something and you are not happy how it is run. You want to run there. You want to do it for yourself. Those who have started business using their gratuity, I want to tell you, their business have not been sustained. Actually, public officers have been the most contributors to business failures in Uganda. Go to private sector foundation, you will be able to get that statistics. Go to URA, you will get information about it. Go to, if you're in Kampala, KC or where, because you register business. These are the people who are not able to give government income after 2 years. They have lost the business. The level of impatience we have. does not make us survive. And I want to tell you, most of our retired persons who have set up business using their retirement income have lost their money, they have lost their health, some have lost their lives. That is why we tell you, if you have a desire, a passion to do something, start now. You can withstand the shocks if you are still working, because you can cushion yourself against those losses. You can still have 2 or 3 sources of income. At retirement, you have only control on one thing, your expenditure. You may have no control on the resources because they are known. Inflation has generally been on the increase, so retirement or not retired, retired or not retired, the financial regime globally does not respect that you are now a senior citizen. It means every time, every month, you must get something extra to cushion your constant income. Otherwise, your income slowly gets eroded to the extent that it cannot sustain you. Our retired people live longer, and generally Ugandans also live longer. We are now at 63 years. It therefore means when you plan for retirement, don't plan small, because there is a possibility you will live longer than you expect. The life expectancy, the longevity after retirement at age 60 is now 19 years. Initially, the pension design in 1946 was on the assumption that when you live at age 55, after 15 years, you will be no more. And that is how the formula was also built for the advance, the commutation, the commuted pension gratuity. But as I talk now, the average is now 79 years. It means as you plan to retire, you must plan long term. You and me also know that lifestyle diseases are also on the increase. Old age ailments. I'm one person who also has hypertension. I have to shallow medicine every day. So for those of you who are administering the retirement benefits of our retired people, well, maybe you are not aware what implication these lifestyle diseases have. But I want to tell you, every month I have to spend 100,000 on medicine. Assuming you are one person who has decided you are not paying these retired people, what pain are you causing? What death are you likely to cause? So this is likely to increase because of the type of life we live, the food we eat, and many things that we are subjected to. So basically, we also established that at most, you may not need 100% of your current income, but you to try to sustain a certain level of living, assuming other factors are constant. For example, when you retire, you don't have dependents. You need at least 70 to 80% replacement income. Replacement income is the proportion, the relationship between your last salary and your first retirement income. So if it is a pension, at most, your salary must be replaced by at least 70 to 80%. But this replacement is dependent on the years you're going to serve. It means, therefore, if you are going to serve for less than 30 years, to get 70% of your current income, you must do something and invest so that the other percentage is filled by the extra you are going to get from your investments. Otherwise, at the original design of the pension scheme was to give you a 79% replacement income. That has although been challenged by court, but I want to tell you that the lowest pensioner on the payroll earns 5,000 shillings. That is the lowest pension we are paying. The highest pension earns 15 million. So you can see the disparity. And this is basically because of other factors like the years you are going to put in service. Every year, Simon will tell you tomorrow, every year you earn 2.4% of your salary as a retirement income. So we call it an accrual factor. So every year you accrue 2.4% of your salary. Of course, the advantage is it is not your current salary, 2.4% of your current salary. It will be 2.4% of your last salary. So we use your last salary. So that is how pension is determined. So you can even quickly use that to calculate how much you can earn, even when you are not going to go to Simon's formula tomorrow. In retirement also, there are things that will continue to remain a constant. Food will be a constant in retirement. Shelter will be a constant in retirement. Clothing will be a constant. Shelter, I brought it here because if you have your own shelter, fine. If you don't have, this is a constant you must maintain. If you have your shelter, you will only provide the basic maintenance cost. Medical cost will continue to remain. Of course, we have government facilities at every sub-county, but is that enough? So you will still need some medical considerations. Social life, you will still have those friends. You will still need to check your family, make telephone calls. You may still want to watch the TVs. So all this comes at a cost. We just assemble them here for you to appreciate that life does not stop at retirement. Life continues. If you are alive, all these aspects, the question after all this is, who is going to finance this? You will still need to do the mabugo, make contributions at funeral, go to church, support those who really need your help. You have retired as a principal, a senior officer in government. You can't say, I'm now retired, and you retire also from social life. All this will happen. Who is going to be responsible? I know some of you have done a few things. Some of you have houses. Some of you are doing farming. Some of you have your beautiful home. Some of you have made some small purchase. You have your transport means. Some of you have those poultry businesses. Some of you have money with the banks. Some of you have bought shares. Some of you have money in the bank. Some of you are doing all sorts of things, which is good. How many of these can keep you on for the period I talked about? The oldest pension on our payroll has been on pension for 55 years. The person retired at age 55 and he is still on payroll. If you are going to live such a long life, what advantage do you have apart from your life? Apart from children? Some of you think the investment, the education of children is the investment you can confidently bank on. But all of you will also appreciate that although some of us have parents, there's a possibility you rarely go home. So if you cannot go home to see people who need your help, what guarantee do you have that children that you are going to be educating now will not go through the challenges you are going through? So we have a lot of problems. One, of course, is the income and employment inequality and the inadequate pay that we get. It means if that is where all your hopes are, then there's a problem, because no employer can make you rich by employment. And I think that is the idea most people have used, those who have exited service, to say, I am going to live. I have been calculating, for example, my salary for the remaining period I have in government. All this, I think on day 3, Wasagami and others will tell you, but assuming my salary, which is now less than 2 million, is increased to 4 million, I am now left with 16 years to leave government service. Assuming my salary has been increased to 4 million, for the next 15 years, I'm expecting to get 720 million. We have benchmarked many people who are into their private enterprises. We found there are some few public officers who can earn this money, the 720 million, which I'm expecting in the future. We found some of them are able to earn this money in 1 month. So already, what I'm struggling to accumulate in the next 15 years, assuming I'm not going to be subjecting this money to expenses, which is not true. Some people are getting this money. Increasing social burden. All these young boys you see riding motorcycles here have left their families, including children, in the hands of their parents. We have so many graduates, including the ones we are going to educate, and the ones we have educated, who are jobless. It means we must prepare to share the little we are accumulating, maybe through retirement income, or maybe through other forms of savings and investments with other people who are close to us. Each one of us have communities in the village. I'm sure when you go there, you have a foretaste of what life is back in the community. It means you cannot be the only rich person in that clan and you live a happy life when the neighbors are hungry. So this is also an obligation. It's a social obligation. If you continue to reside in Africa, you are not going to escape this. The financial literacy is a one thing. Many of us public officers cherish what we have. We have money in the house, we have money everywhere. And yet I said at the beginning of my presentation that this money belongs to government, it's not yours. So if you're holding what is not yours, but you are still happy, my friends, I want to tell you, you must rethink your journey and probably think about how you can, each time you get some income in form of cash, you can remove it and transfer it to some other things. Personally, if you go to my bank, I don't have money there. I'm sure the banks are not happy with me, but every time money has entered my account, I pick it. I realize this money is useful. If, for example, I pick from my little 1.3 million, which is my salary, if I picked 100 and I sent and I only acquired 1 goat, I realize I'm already planning for this retirement. I'm mobilizing money for my retirement. So it is up to you to try to see what money can do for you, but what you have explored it to be what you really want to do. Either it's a way of mobilizing more resources, or it's a way of investing your money for the future. Of course, the longevity, I've talked about it. The unreliable retirement income, I told you about the 5,000, which some of our pensioners are earning. Of course, the capital markets in Uganda still is a challenge. We don't have many areas where we can put in money. Many of us go into agribusiness when we are not prepared. You go there, you don't want to invest only 2 million to buy a pump, a water pump. So you are saying there is no production. You control your business, a farm business, which is highly labor intensive, with the mobile phone, calling people and getting assurance that everything is fine. and you are happy that you are doing business. All those are the challenges public officers are going through. You have bought your small taxi, you are put on the road or cycle, and you think you are doing business. Well, you are employing somebody else, but I don't think that is the retirement planning we should be thinking about. We have benchmarked all these people. We have also we have deployed some of our staff in the department to talk to the border people to see what type of business they are doing, whether they own them or the business belongs to other people. And some of them have told us their tricks, how the owners of the business end up owning nothing. The unpredictable life. Life has become so unprecedented that no rich person today can think about being rich tomorrow. So some of us have gone into lifestyle that tries to assume that with the confidence and what you have now, your future is guaranteed. I want to advise you that our experience is different from that. So some of us are saying, no, for me, I'm a rich man. I can produce as many children as I want. We have found rich people whose families have graduated into poverty when they are not there. Some of you are rich, yes, we know, but you are the only rich person in the family. The only difference is some of the members of your family benefit from the effect of your wealth, but they're never involved in how you make your wealth. And that's how many times your wealth is not a guarantee that your children can also have the wealth. Some of us are into agribusiness, but your children have never stepped on your farm. You are a successful man, yes, but I don't think you can be a successful person 10 years from now. So those are some of the challenges. Nobody is sure of what life has in store for him or her. So to take pride in what you have now and assume this can continue. Of course, some of you have put money, not only cars, but have assets. And they are sure that even with what now I have, my children, grandchildren's future is secured. The children have gone for the assets. They have disposed the assets, and the family is back to zero. I know these examples are plenty in our communities. We don't need to give any name, but reflect and see. So it means issues of money, issues of investment, issues of guaranteeing the future is a constant daily affair. It is a moment that requires training. It requires handing over the mantle to somebody who share your vision, who share your idea. And that has been a big problem in the entire service. And as a result, we may graduate into this type of thing. We are likely to graduate into so many things where the cars on stones, where the agriculture we have cherished is now something else. Because this is not, bumper harvest today is not a bumper harvest tomorrow. You may even fail to renovate the other house which we saw, and the utilities become a problem. And you don't have the tenants anymore. Depending on what happens in life. So at the end, we have seen rich people graduating to poverty. And the concept of the new poor. And this is a painful concept. People who have tasted wealth do not want to graduate into poverty. But we see so many of them graduating into poverty. Unfortunately, we found people who are not resilient are high income earners in government. The so-called department heads are the most vulnerable. Chief administrative officer, undersecretary, call it what? Because these are people who up to now, I think some of them do not know the price of the fuel pump. You just put a card, fuel comes out. Some of you have 10 million on your fuel card. So you don't care about fuel prices because You just dispense full tank. I want you to try one day. You can experiment in retirement by trying to refuse to use your card. Don't also use any other income, but use your salary. Go to your account, withdraw money, and put fuel to go up country and come back. You are going to see what happens. So most people who live in institutional houses, people whose welfare are guaranteed, medical treatment, insurance, and so on, are the people who fail to cope in retirement. The retirement comes as a shock to them. Therefore, why do we have to plan? The medical costs, the long living, the benefit you are going to get from the system will not sustain you. Responsibility will go on, and you will still have the dependents, including your children who may not be employed, including your grandchildren who may not be employed. The social care in your communities, I have not seen now communities going to build a house for an old person. Everybody is on their own. There are limited areas where you can invest and get a lot of money. The best alternative is to start investing early so that you accumulate a lot of the little. The living cost is going to continue to be high. It will not come down. This fuel price we are talking about, I am not sure if it will come down. All of us are not on the reliable employment income, but not to talk about retirement income. So that is already a problem. We're already actually suffering. But amid this suffering, there is a bigger suffering that awaits us. What do we have to do? The government support system. We have all these health facilities. We have all the schools. But you and me know we must invest to get the best from this infrastructure of government, including the private ones. So, in order to plan well for your retirement, therefore, colleagues, we will now ask you to sit where you are and see, do you see a better future? So how far can you see it is in terms of, is there something you are doing now? Is there something you are doing now? The next question is, do you have time? Two questions are important here. Is there something worth living for? The next one is, do you have all the time? For me, I have not put age 60 as our retirement age. I have put 65, what I call the accumulation phase. I want to look at the retirement planning in terms of the accumulation phase, which is age 45 to 65. It means beyond your employment in government, you still have your allowance of 5 years. But my assumption is that 45, already government income is one such source of income. So if anywhere you can see far, the question is, can you see clearly? You have time, you are doing something, but is this something you can hope in? You have your piggery project. Can we trust a piggery project 5 years from now? When there was COVID, some of you were running poultry farms up country. You lost that poultry farm because you cannot longer take feeds from Kampala. So some of you are doing too many things, either seasonal things or things that depend on other things. And therefore, it does not guarantee a better life. So to answer these questions well, we must now reflect on what obstacles lie on your journey towards retirement. I did this many years ago, and I was able to address a number of obstacles on my retirement journey. I'm going to give you a few examples of some of them which were my challenges. There is no answer, single answer which covers all of us on this first question. And when you are able to honestly identify your weaknesses, the obstacles, then one by one you can say, there are things I must do today. Then there are things which you cannot change immediately, but tomorrow you can start on them. And there are things you can do in the near future. Capitalizing on number 3, the advantages you have. So these 3 are everything you need to appreciate this journey for effective retirement. What are some of my obstacles? Ignorance and financial literacy. I used to keep my money in the bank. At one time, I picked money, 15 million, to go and start a business. I suffered with that money until I got an opportunity to go into South Sudan under IGAD UNDP program in 2013 when South Sudan became a government. That was the income that transformed my life. I cleared the loan and I was able to establish some homes. So the question is, if you still cherish money, if you are that person who is on top up, loan top up, every time you think there's nothing else you can do other than loans, because you have just decided not to change a few circumstances of your life, which some of them we are going to look at. Like the wrong schools your children are in. 2 million in a nursery school. I have never seen my last born, who is 6 years, graduated from a nursery school on Friday. I have never seen anything useful from that graduation apart from seeing her happy in a graduation gown. But I have not taken her to a school where I pay 1 million. That level of education, how much you may want to spend. You need to take your child to a nursery school to gain some confidence, to gain some basic numeracy and literacy skill, basic. It will never be useful. So some of you are paying for computers, who are paying for what, who are paying for feeding. 2 million, 3 million in nursery school. And it's not bad, you can do that. But I'm earning 1.3 million. Why should I do that? So those are the financial illiteracy we are talking about. Pool of money, others buried in the house, and you think life is, you have arrived. Everything is done. That is the problem we are dealing with. So I had that problem. I still have a number of it. I'm trying to deal with it. No retirement, personal retirement plan. No journey, no plan. Which journey are you taking? You don't need to pursue any life's journey. But of course, you are moving. Even if you have no plan, age is moving. The family. How painful is it for your family when you are absent, even for a day or two? Some of you, your absence is celebrated. People will have to look for cakes to see that you are not around. You are not part of the family for at least a week. There's joy in the house. I already told you the value of family. Tomorrow, if you are going to be absent, if you fall into trouble, human beings have a tendency of letting people pay back. You will pay back. For me, I have decided if there is visitation, and most of them happen during weekend, I will personally be there. I will sit on the mat, eat together, if they allow eating. If they don't, we buy and eat together. At home, after work, I rush to reach home. Of course, there are times I finish my work up to 7, but I rush home and I find people waiting for me so that we can eat together. So how many events are you doing together with your family members? Money cannot build relations. You may be rich, deploy resources here and there, but your physical absence is what will be your undoing. Some of us have tried the same thing many years and we are still on it, yet our life has not transformed. May you go and think about those things you are doing, which does not give you any value. You may want to go and study what others are doing to see that what you have been doing does not make sense. So it's up to you. You have these relatives and you are the commissioner, you are the everything, you are the principal officer, you work in the Ministry of Finance. So you are a custodian of all the villagers in your home. I want to tell you, like I told you, today your future is granted because you can get allowances, you can do this and that. But I want to tell you, if you are not going to support these relatives from where they are, apart from straining your relationship in the family, your small nucleus family, you are going to create a deficit in your relationship with the external people. It is normally very difficult to satisfy everybody, and you may find people who are staying with you have strained your relations with their relatives elsewhere, that you are harassing them, even when things are not. It is important, therefore, even want to support within your means, but support them where they are. There are times I've gone to the village and people were willing to donate children, that you can go with this one. I have personally decided, I have stopped because, not because I'm not capable, but I thought I could remain with what I have. We have instructions to produce and multiply and fill the earth, but this instruction is to every human being, not you alone. So it is up to you. Some of you still buy diapers when you are 50 years old, and you must know that that is already a challenge. You don't need to have your own personal dependence after 60. Lifestyle issues, intake of everything in excess is a challenge. So there are some of us who are still busy doing everything every other person of young age are able to do. It is up to you. It is your choice. Everything is useful to the body, including alcohol, provided it is taken in a moderate quantity. That's why when you use the term, you are drunk, it means you are now mad. So I don't know what intention you will have to take something until you are mad. So it is up to you to go and try to see a few things and change them. Medical checkup, you are able to repair your vehicle every day, but you cannot check yourself. And for me, when I decide to check myself, I go to a government facility. In a government facility, it is very rare to get someone qualified person. Because the medicine you take must be guided. You must take what is really proven and expertly advised. Your circumstance, whether it is headache, may be different from mine. Your headache may be because of hypertension. So, in hypertension, there are certain drugs you may not be advised to take. So always, colleagues, check. You pass via Molagu here, you just ignore it until you are down. So those are some of the weaknesses. So you can go and document as many as possible. Some of you do not want to see a scat pass around. If that is your problem, note it. Assume you have 3 girlfriends. Even if you are not going to marry them, you calculate the level of your poverty at age 60. Because all those activities, you may not do it in the open. You have to go and at your level, you're a public officer, you may need to spend around 100. And also buy facilitators like food and alcohol. So if you do that for all 3, how much is when you are 1.3 million? How much poor will you be after practicing this for 10 years? And if you are lucky, you may not be transferred the obligations of rent and other things. So friends, there are things we can do, but some of the preparation, because our income, definitely all of us will agree, is very little, the salary, but there are things we can do about how we spend the little. So what can you do? There are things you can do today. For example, it is very difficult for you to even send an SMS or a WhatsApp message to your partner and say, I love you. They may think you are now running mad. These are basic things you can do. But some of you cannot even tell your partner, I love you. They think you are running temperature. So why don't we start with that? Why don't we go to the level of now drawing a personal plan? Why don't we go to the level of only taking one bottle of beer? Why don't we reach the level of only saying, regardless of how much this food will smell, I will not eat meat every day, whether my office is in a meat territory. What is difficult about removing some of the friends who have been in your life for 10 years, but they have never done anything useful to you? You may keep their contact, but you don't allow them to make you a hostage. You go and drink together, you eat together, you do this together, you humanize together. Why don't you say, I want to remove these people? Let me try 2 friends who are reliable. There is a friend of mine in this Ministry of Public Service to whom I went. With him, we have established a relationship to the extent that if I need the money, I will not tell him the reason I need the money. I just go to him, I tell him, I need 2 million. He goes and gives me the money. There was a time I went to him because deep down in my village, somebody was selling land for 5 million. And I went to him, I had nothing, not even 100,000. I went to this friend, I told him I need money, 5 million. He went and gave me cash 5 million without interest. I went and acquired that plot. And I took my time to pay him. And we build such a symbiotic relationship. How about medical checkup? Why don't you today pass over to one of the government facilities where you find qualified lab team and they check for you? And you have your friend doctors, you send the result to them. What is wrong with that? These exercises which are everywhere in the ministries, why don't you say, today let me get into it? Although moderated exercise, I have been doing my personal exercise, but I don't do exercise because others are doing the same thing. My health situation is different from others. So if the others are going for 20 press-up, I will make my 2. If others want to run, I can walk. So also taking a doctor helps you see what activities will you get involved in. And I know all of you, all of us, by virtue of where we are working, we have all these advantages, which we can now use to our benefit. You have contacts, definitely. Useful one. Useful contacts. Yesterday, we returned yesterday. On Friday, I took my department, the entire team in the department, to a model farm in Noya. It's called Delight Farm. I talked to the proprietor. The proprietor allowed me to take the entire team. We were 21. It is a farm sitting on 1,700 acres of land, well developed, with 20 facilities, cottages and so on, fully fledged. So if you enter a supermarket, you see most of those juices, they are from Delight Farm. We went to benchmark that farm, and a number of my colleagues picked ideas from them. So there are things we can start. You have your small salary. It is small but useful, I want to tell you. Some of you have some small savings with the circles and so on, with the social groups in the bank. Why don't you go for that money and put it to good use? Some of us where we are staying, people, communities have issues. Why don't you provide solutions? Because that solution becomes an opportunity, a business opportunity. You have your supportive family. Why don't you use them? Some investments, some of you have rentals, some of you have LPCT and so on, and have land and so on. You can do something. So friends, this is just an overview of our retirement planning journey. The rest will be discussed on day 1, day 2, day 3, and the last day, day 4. My interest was to just tell you that a happy retirement starts with the planning for it. And if you do this plan and you are passionate about the plan, you will support this plan. There will be ups and downs. But when you benchmark friends who have succeeded, you get more encouraged to succeed as well. And we are advising you, money is very important. It opens doors, as people want to say it, but it is the only asset that is not yours. You may only be a means to supporting or to the monetary policy. Government may be channeling money through us. And that's why you may want to know, get to know how interesting it is when our salaries delay and border borders are complaining. The milk sellers are complaining why government is not paying salary. So are you that vessel who has a big hole and therefore nothing will remain in your pocket? Can you let some pass through the vessel, but you retain some, not remnants? And that's how the ancient Roman Empire developed the concept of saving. It started with the concept of pay yourself first. How the emperor had to summon the rich people to ask them why they are rich. And they just told him one thing. We developed the concept of paying ourselves first. May we develop that habit of prioritizing your own savings, removing 100 from that salary and say, this is my income. And then you go into that plan of yours. We are encouraging you, colleagues, don't shy away from your community. Even that 15 minutes vigil at home of a friend will never be forgotten. That journey you make over the weekend on Friday, because there is a burial of a former schoolmate in primary, cannot be forgotten. And if possible, if you have an idea of what you want to do, we will encourage you to start the journey today. And if there is